What's poppin' party people? Welcome to Secular Minority Podcast. I am your host, Sunny Secular, and this is my co-host Fee.
Hey,
I can never get the pointing right.
yeah, I like that. I like that you're pointing in both because, yeah, I think that works.
And
One
today
day
we
we get
have
it together. One day.
and today we have a special guest. Our guest I known from TikTok. She has wonderful TikTok videos and welcome sickness of the thickness.
Hi.
Like that screen name. How did you come up with that screen name?
So there's this song that I really like, and one of the lyrics is down with the sickness.
Okay.
So I kind of took that and like redid it a little bit to sickness of the thickness. Just because I don't know. That's what it made me
And
think of for some
is
reason.
it like thickness with two C's, like thick?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
well, that's all. That's all. Say less.
That
Say less,
sounds like I
fam.
like
That's all
that
I need
name.
to know. That's all I need to know. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, part of me wonders how many people on TikTok just follow me for the username. And part of me wonders how much they follow me for the
Like, oh,
content.
she
But
thick.
really, does it even matter? Come for the name. Come for the name. Stay for the content.
I
That's
know,
what it.
right?
Exactly. I feel like it's a great attention grabber.
Yeah, it is. It works. I'm here for it. I love it.
And thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is get ready for my art, y'all. Women's rights, help from a Satanist. You see this fist?
But sounds like getting the power fist. I must admit, I missed the faces of the last 2 weeks, but the fist will work. You're really leveling up your
I know,
graphics.
right? I'm doing it. I'm working on my art skills.
Yeah,
They're,
you're
they're
really.
fantastic. I absolutely love them.
Okay, so jumping into this topic here, we're gonna ask you the same thing that you usually ask everybody. Were you born religious or in the Christian religion?
I was born into Christianity. The flavor of Christianity I was born into is a little bit weird. Because part of me also like says I was kind of growing up in a cult as well. Or like a capitalistic cult, if you will. It's this my mom is a missionary. She worked for this agency called Go to Nations, which is a missionary organization,
Okay.
a Christian organization as well. And they essentially push for Christian colonization around the globe, more or less.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was fun having to like deal with like once I started deconstructing, I was just like, okay, yeah, no, there's something wrong with this. And then I know in a few years you're trying to become like fully self-sufficient, like no, not on any grids, having their own water, having their own food sources, having their own
Oh,
electricity.
a
As
cult,
you can
cult.
see, yeah,
Yeah,
cult.
a cult, cult. Okay.
So I was just like, once I realized that, I was just like, I grew up in what is pretty much a cult at this point, huh? Because originally I was just like, my mom and my family, we hopped around from different churches, from evangelical, Baptist, non-denominational, Pentecostal at one point. Like we jumped around a lot for churches because I think she had trouble finding one that fit her.
Okay.
But to like classify like how I grew up, it would probably be more like fundamentalist.
Is your mom still a Christian?
Yes, she is
Okay.
most definitely still Christian.
And how
Needless
does
to
that
say,
play? How does it play out like at family gatherings and like I'm hella curious. How is that for
not
you?
well. I'm gonna be honest. We don't get along. Our political views, opposite ends of the spectrum, completely.
Right,
Religious views, opposite ends of the spectrum. Satanist,
right.
Christian, not really gonna mix very often. She's very conservative when it comes to like all aspects of her life, when it comes to like makeup and stuff too. I'm not. I, if I had more body positivity, more like body positivity, if I was more comfortable with my body, I'd be outside right now in like, you know, short shorts, crop top, and all that fun stuff. But nah, that won't work for me right now. But yeah, family gatherings, haven't, last time I went to see her was like last year. I got scolded for not being able to stay with my job for the reason that I had a liver disease, and I was working in a bakery, and that liver disease caused me to like throw up and have to call out early, which you can't really do when you're working in a bakery.
Yeah, I'm sorry that. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
So yeah, that didn't go very well. Needless to say, she kind of likes my husband more than she likes me, to be honest.
Oh,
That's what I like to say. That's what he likes to say, because it was constant like praising him for like, you know, getting promotions and everything. And she's always like wanting to hear about his accomplishments, and I'm just here.
oh,
I'm
that
just saying.
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Is he? Well,
That
I
sucks
guess
a
he's
lot.
not a Satanist. He's not a
he's
Satanist, Jasmine.
atheist. He's
Okay.
atheist, but he's not Satanist.
Satanist. Okay.
And that was actually going to be that next question I asked. What made you convert to Satanism? Did you do it in high
Um,
school or when you got out?
It was when I got out, and like when I first got onto TikTok. I heard about it through a TikToker named Baphometal.
Yeah,
Um,
he's cool.
yeah, he's great. So I heard about it through him. Ended up finding a PDF of the Satanic Bible online and started reading through it. And I was just like, wow, this clicks with me. Like, this is something I almost full-heartedly agree with. And I was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like look more into Satanism, started doing more research into like the different satanic organizations. I consider myself an independent Satanist, but I'm also a part of TST, the Satanic Temple, just because I can't afford membership to the Church of Satan right now, currently.
Right. So for everybody that's at home right now, explain to them that Satanists don't believe in Satan.
Oh, yeah. Um,
Before, I was just about to say I recently followed Satan on TikTok, so I feel
yeah.
like I can get you inside with him. And just give me a couple more weeks, and I'll let you know. Because we're friends with each other.
Yeah, so to everyone at home, Satanism, at least my flavor of Satanism, is spicy atheism. It is atheism that follows a set of morals that we derive from our perspective on the myth of Lucifer and Satan, pretty much. Which is pretty much, you know, Lucifer was fighting against a tyrannical form of power, wanting to, you know, be on equal footing with the tyrannical power, be on equal footing with that tyrannical power's creation. And because of that, he was basically thwarted by, you know, God and everything, and cast out. And pretty much Satanists believe in, you know, being true to oneself, you know, being against, you know, tyrannical powers, much like we have in the US right now.
Right.
And, you know, just a lot of Satanists do like advocacy, which is why you'll find a lot of that from the Satanic Temple. If you're looking more to be on like the quote unquote religious side of Satanism, the Church of Satan is also a good place to be. Just because you can focus more on yourself with it as well, just because it is also about like self-love, self-empowerment, setting your own boundaries, putting yourself first before you're worrying about other people, because it's really hard to take care of other people when you're not taking care of yourself.
Right.
You can do it, it's just really hard, and you're going to end up crossing your boundaries. You're going to end up having other people cross your boundaries. So Satanists are just like, set a boundary, enforce the boundary, worry about yourself, and then worry about the others. And then if someone's going to cross that boundary, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them kindness. You don't owe them respect, anything. They have crossed that. They have disrespected you. You have no obligation to respect them. You can. That is your own personal choice, but it's not something you have to do, and it's not something you should feel guilty about doing, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's how I feel too.
That is something a lot of women in particular need to understand, because a lot on my social media lately, particular on my stories and stuff, I've been encouraging women to not necessarily be polite when they don't feel comfortable, because
Mhm.
a lot of women are raised to be nice, to be polite, to be aware of everyone else's feelings at the expense of
Of
their
their
own.
own,
And I am
exactly.
all about empowering women with in everything that I do. So I identify very strongly with everything that you just said there, particularly from a female empowerment perspective.
Yeah, and you will
So
see
I
like,
love that.
yeah, you'll see a lot of, women in Satanism or feminine presenting people in Satanism because they agree with that part of like satanic tenets. Another big part of Satanism is it is literally written in the 11 satanic rules of the earth: consent. Consent is like one of the top things in Satanism. If you don't have someone's consent for, either sex or like in Satanism, and like the rules is called, it's if you don't have the mating signal, pretty much, you will not go forward with anything if you don't have that consent first and foremost. Which is one thing that I'm just like, this is 100% against like how I grew up.
Right.
Like, it is expected of people to give their partner anything they want. It is expected of women to be, these
Submissive.
submissive people. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, one, that stuff has to be earned first.
Right.
If someone is like that submissive personality, if they are submissive, it should be earned, and that boundary should not be crossed. It is not owed. It is not it's not someone's for the taking. Like, that is something that they need to use and keep close to themselves and give it to those who have earned it. If even then, it's not even required if that person has earned it, pretty much. And I know that a lot of people at home will think that, oh no, Satanists are harming children, Satanists are grooming children, etc. Another thing that's written in these satanic rules is you are not going to harm a child. Any harm to a child, no, just don't. Um, Also, Satanism is very much against, what is the word? It's what like Christians do, like trying to get people to come to their religion and stuff like that.
Proselytizing.
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 Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Satanism,
said it right.
proselytizing.
Yeah.
Proselytizing. Yeah. Yeah. I know it
um,
well.
Yeah, so Satanism is also very much against that. We will answer someone's questions about it. We have no problem doing that. We'll also tell you, hey, you should probably do your own research on this rather than relying solely on a Satanist telling you this stuff. Just because it is one thing to hear it from someone, it's another thing to do your own research and look at it for yourself. So Satanism is very much an individualistic religion, or ideology that also has a community once you have, found your way into it. But is individualistic in the way that it is really about how you hold yourself, how you protect your boundaries, how you set your boundaries before you're helping others. And then like the community part can come in with like the Satanic Temple with their advocacy, with their fighting for different kinds of rights, be it abortion rights, or be it healthcare, or religious pluralism. Community has been formed through that, through the ideologies, etc. Which is another thing that I really like, because while I'm glad I have, gone away from Christianity, I did miss the sense of community,
Right.
basically. I didn't necessarily like the people, don't get me wrong. There were some nasty people
Right.
in the churches I was at. But I did miss like the sense of community, the sense of, hey, these people think like me. These people, have similar views to me, without, going into a whole, what's the word, like wind tunnel, air tunnel, like where you're not willing to hear other people's like ideas, because we are
Right.
willing
Yeah.
to do that, you know, as long as you're respectful about it. And if you're not respectful about it, then you can fuck right off.
Right. And that's actually what I was going to ask you next. With what happened yesterday, with the Roe versus Wade being overturned, how can Satanism help young ladies with that? Because I do understand that you have, is it one of your tenets that will protect that?
It is a satanic temple tenet, that one's body is viable to one's own will, or subject to one's own will, and no one else can like control your body, what you do to it, which it would include abortions. So the Satanic Temple has been fighting for years to get religious protection for abortions, via, you know, counseling, which I believe they are starting programs to have abortion counseling. They're also trying to start like helping women like get to states, women and feminine presenting people who can give birth, get to states that have, you know, safe access to abortions. But currently they have not won any cases in courts for having that religious protection. So I would say if you're looking to join Satanism solely for that, I wouldn't. Just because you can donate your time and energy to women's health organizations, to abortion advocacy groups that have actually been making progress, rather than, you know, spending all your time thinking, oh, hey, Satanism is going to be the one answer to this problem.
Right.
Because there are many groups that have gotten a lot further than what, you know, the Satanic Temple has done. And so, you know, just, you know, do your research. Don't join simply for this one thing. Make sure that it is something that you actually agree with. Make sure that it is something that, you know, you want to, you know, guide your life by, basically, before you decide, hey, this place, you know, is trying to fight for my abortion. I should totally join it for that one thing.
Right. And where
Because,
can they find the tenants? So if they want to
um,
look into it themselves.
yeah, so the Church of Satan, their tenets are written in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey, which is like $10 on Amazon, or you can go to their website, churchofsatan.com, something like that,
Okay.
and it'll be there as well. The Satanic Temple, it's written on their website, thesatanictemple.com.
And I'm going to put everything in the links in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to include it with the notes and links on the website.
You know, well, a few, maybe a couple of years ago, when during my deconversion process, I started reading up on Satanism. I don't know, maybe the algorithm sent me something, I don't know. So I decided to read the tenets, and I was so surprised that the tenets of Satanism was so much more humane than the freaking 20 commandments. I don't call it 10 commandments because
Yeah,
it's more
because
than
it's
10.
more. Yeah.
There was original 10, and then there were 10 more, and then they're like 650. There was so much more humane, so much more inclusive, and so much more well thought out than the commandments that I was right. Yeah, and logical and protective.
And they got it done in like putting the two together, Satanic Temple and Church of Satan.
Yeah,
they got it done in I believe like 18 altogether. If you count them all together, about 18 of them. And I'm just like, 18 versus having to basically amend the original 600 times.
Right.
I don't think there's a question here.
And still managing to leave out, don't own people as slaves and treat women with respect and respect children. They somehow managed to leave that out of the 613, and you know, respect everybody's rights, and those they never made it in. It wasn't even a question. So
yeah, it was very like centric towards patriarchy, centered towards like men.
Definitely.
Right.
I get that part of it was like the historical era where it was very much so men ruled a lot of things. However, it really says something when a organization, ideology, religion has better commandments in less words that are more moral and more inclusive than your 600 amendments to these original 10.
Given by Almighty God. Let's not forget.
Almighty God. Yeah.
Those 6 something came from Almighty God. I mean,
and
so,
these 18
allegedly.
came from man, and these
Yeah.
18 are more moral. There's something wrong.
There's something wrong. So ever so often I will send some to like the Christian people that I like to bring some sense to their lives. So ever so often I'd be like, hey, what do you think about this rule? And they're like, they'd be like I sent one to my Jehovah's Witness friend, and she's like, yeah, this is a great rule. I'm like, well, this is from the Satanic Temple, and she never responded.
Yeah, and like one of the things that I've said on my TikTok a lot is that Satanism is more moral than Christianity. I've gotten so much heat from that, and
my God, how has
I've gotten so much heat from that.
Oh yeah.
So many people have gotten
your
mad
comments
at me
were like wild. Your comments were like wild. I could imagine.
One of the main things is the main comment that I get posted on my page the most often is like Psalms 37, 34, something like that, whereas the Lord laughs at the wicked for their day is coming, or something like that. I forgot the last verse, but I probably get like 10 of those a day, and I'm just like, wow. So original.
Super original. The fool had said in his heart, there is no God. Yeah, we know.
It's like, it's not like this comment has been commented on this video 100 times. Not at all. It's not like you just completely copy pasted whatever everyone else said. Like,
oh my God.
And what we do here usually is we point out the misogyny that's in the Bible, which leads us to our next segment. Fee usually has a scripture a week that pulls out the misogyny that's in the Christian Bible. The reason why we always bring up the Christian Bible is because they're the ones that's always trying to interpret things their way and trying to incorporate it in everyone's lives, when there should be a separation between church and state. Fee, what did you have for us this week?
Yeah, I personally think Christians, as I heard one of my favorite people on TikTok said, nobody's stopping you from being a Christian and applying Christian laws to your life.
Right.
What we have an issue with is trying to apply your Christian laws to everybody else's life, even people that don't subscribe to your brand of Christianity or to Christianity on the whole. And it's so that's what, plus both of us, and well, now you were Christians. So this is what we were raised in. I was a Christian all my life. I went to Sunday school from the age of 3. Right. I was a Christian all my life until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So, that's why we, plus some of these scriptures I never knew existed until I became an atheist, like this one.
So fun fact about me is that one of the things that turned me away from Christianity was I read the Bible, like when I turned like about 15 or so, I had already read the Bible completely through about 5 times, if not more.
Oh, wow.
One was because I was really sheltered growing up, and because I would get away from a lot of the trauma I experienced through reading. And if I didn't have a book, I would read the Bible. I would tell my mom that I wasn't, because, I was an angry teenager, but, I was just, it was the only thing that I really had to read that I could, consistently get through and read all the way through and go back and read it again. I'm just like, where did that come from?
Right.
Like, even now, like when I go back to like read some of the verses, I'm just like, what?
I know. That's how I was with this scripture. So the scripture for today is Judges 19, and it's a very long passage. So I'm reading from verses 22. It's a very long, but you can read it if you want to get the backstory, but we don't. So I will just read from here. We don't. While they were celebrating, behold, the men of the city, certain, I will be using the NASB translation. Right. Worthless men surrounded the house, pushing one another at the door. And they spoke to the owner of the house, the old man, saying, "Bring out the man who entered your house, that we may have relations with him." Then the man, the owner of the house, went out to them and said to them, "No, my brothers, please do not act so wickedly. Since this man has come into my house, do not commit this vile sin. Here is my virgin daughter and the man's concubine."
Boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's not a sin.
And then, so like when Christians look at that one verse, they're just like, oh, gay marriage or gay relationships. Oh my
right.
gosh.
And that's
Right.
where they stop. That's where they stop, right? But
Right.
then, right, the 24 says, "Here is my virgin daughter and the man's concubine. Please let me bring them out, then rape them and do to them whatever you wish." Oh my God, I feel so much godly love right now.
Exactly.
But do
Praise
not commit,
Jesus, dear Lord.
amen, amen, and amen. But do not commit this act of vile sin against this man. But the men would not listen to him. So the man seized his concubine and brought her outside to them. And they raped her and they abused her all night until morning. Then they let her go to the approach of dawn. As the day began to dawn, the woman came and fell down at the doorway of the man's house where her master was until full daylight.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and it's like whenever I hear people quote that verse, I mean, just like, you're sinning, how dare you, etc. I'm just like, so we're just going to ignore the part where this whole thing was about rape?
Right.
yeah.
We're just
Can
going to
you
ignore the
imagine
whole part where these
somebody
two
taking you
cities.
out there and closing the door and locking you out there with them?
To be
Yeah, I'm just
gang
like,
to be gang raped. This is wild. I never knew this story existed. So
yeah,
when I
that
was
was,
looking,
I was
I
taught that
never
story when I
knew
was
it.
young.
Really?
Yes,
What,
I
what
knew
was the
that's,
moral? What was the moral teaching behind this story? When you
Yes,
tell
tell us.
me,
What's the
because
moral of that one?
what was? Tell me.
Go
Break it.
ahead.
Put on for a quick minute.
here's
Put
how
on your Christian hat and
here,
tell me. Yeah.
oh man, I don't
What's the
have any.
Christian hat?
Here,
Yeah.
I
Right.
got the Christian hoodie
Right.
right here.
Okay.
So young Alex, this I assume I've read the verse and everything. This verse means that you aren't supposed to like a person of the same gender as you, or else God will destroy you, destroy them, and destroy this entire country. And we love this country. This country is the greatest place on earth. So don't be gay. Don't be
What about
trans.
the rapist, mommy?
So yeah.
Just
So
young
we
Alex.
just young Alex. Are we ignoring
What about the
We
rapist,
the
ignoring this
mommy?
whole
the
part where they're just trying to like gang rape these two guys, this other girl. I'm just like, okay, this is totally about,
What about
being
they knock
gay.
the women out, mommy?
I'm just like, and like when I was taught like Deuteronomy and like Leviticus and when it came to slavery, it was I was just like, so we just going to by the way, my mom adopted me and she's white. I obviously am not. And like when she read like the verses about slavery to me, or like when I read them and like was asking about them, and I was just like this is like later looking back on it, I'm just like, so we're just going to ignore the straight up chattel slavery in this, not even going into like indentured servitude or anything. We're just going to ignore the straight up chattel slavery.
Right.
And
right.
say God abolished it when he didn't. He just took his favorite and left. He didn't abolish slavery.
Exactly. And it literally says you can pass your children on to your children
Pass your
and your
slave
children's
down to your
children
children. Yeah.
and children's children.
And then like when I see like these slavery apologists online, I'm just like, okay, so you don't think slavery is wrong? You don't think chattel slavery is wrong? They're just like, well, it wasn't like slavery that was like 200 years ago. And I'm just like, no, that wasn't 200 years ago, for one.
Right.
For two, secondly, it is literally the exact same structure as what it was for the transatlantic slavery, minus the fact that, it was transatlantic. The slavery structure was still the same.
Yeah.
It was maybe harsher, maybe debatable, but it was it was literally word for word what you can see for the transatlantic slavery. And I'm just like, so you don't see anything wrong with the slavery from, 50 years ago? Because I believe the last people who were freed was like 1960 or something like
Yeah,
that
isn't
on
that
the Texas
Yeah.
plantations.
isn't that something else? Isn't it
Mm-hmm.
crazy that
Yeah.
I mean, Roe v. Wade was like 50 years ago,
Mhm.
right? And slavery was still, it was just like just prior to that. I saw a video on it today, like just prior to that. So it really does show that we really haven't, mentally or morally, maybe, I don't know which
Evolved.
is the right word, evolved as much as we think. Because it is
Exactly.
crazy to me that only 50 years ago, women began to have rights. And I mean, I know everybody's focusing on the abortion aspect of this, but I also like to focus on the medical privacy aspect of
Right.
this and all the other rights that go along with being a human being that women didn't have just like 50 or 60 years ago. That's like
Mhm.
within our life. That is so wild. That is crazy.
And then I believe people who still experience Jim Crow era, that is mothers and fathers,
Right.
Yeah.
mothers,
Right.
fathers, grandparents, etc.,
Grandparents.
who have
Yep.
still experienced that, and they're just like, you don't need reparations. That was 200 years ago. I was like, excuse me, have you not cracked
I
open a history book?
I only heard today that lynching, I mean, imagine they only just passed the anti-lynching. It is crazy to me that in
It's
20
only in
and
some
now
areas. They still have
and
it.
it's only some areas. And now in 2022, they have decided to take away a woman's right to privacy and healthcare.
Yeah.
They're literally dismantling. This is like the worst. I mean, everyone, as I always say, being from the Caribbean, looking out to the world, we always look to the United States as this beacon of hope, of light, of direction, and of forward progressive thinking. But now I'm like, we are all the way back, as I tell Sonny all the time, y'all are all the way back in the wild, wild west, because apparently it's more important to protect gun laws than to protect women's rights.
Yeah. Although
Crazy. It's
one
crazy
thing
that gun laws are federally protected and women's rights are not. That's
Yeah,
wild.
one thing that has been irritating me for a little bit, just with the Roe v. Wade situation, is the racial aspect of like Black women have been saying this is going to happen
Yeah.
for
Yep.
years. They have been saying it for years.
Yep.
And then all I'm seeing are white women now saying, we need to push Black women to the front of this. We need to like get them to advocate for us. I'm just like, so you're going to sit there and ignore them for years, ignore what they're saying, constantly vote against them and your best interest simply because, they're Black. And now you're going to, say, try to force them into your own advocacy. And I've been
Yep.
seeing a lot of Black women on TikTok just sit back from it and just say, nope, you got
Yeah.
this.
Nope. Yeah. This is on you.
And like, I'm
And
at the
they're right.
point where like, I'm like not surprised at Roe v. Wade, but I'm at the point where I'm just like, I'm going to vote in my best interest. But I'm not going to join your advocacy for this because you didn't listen. These
Right.
are,
Yeah.
oh, and I absolutely hate when people are comparing it to Handmaid's Tale so much.
Agreed.
Because Black women, people of color, have lived it. We've like already been through this for years, for like most of our lives, all of our lives. And like, they're just like, oh, now that it's starting to affect us, we're going to go into the Handmaid's Tales
Now
times.
that
I'm just
it's
like,
affecting and
oh,
Yeah.
exactly.
so
It's terrible.
you're getting a little taste of what it's like to be a person of color, or to not be a majority, or not benefit from the majority.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
And
I was like,
let me slip this in right quick because as we getting to the end. Today it was announced on TikTok, which I posted it on my page, and I posted it as well on Instagram. But Lizzo has come out with a fund. It's called LizzoLovesYou.com. She gave $1 million for Planned Parenthood.
well,
So
actually,
if
she
anybody needs some help, go to her website.
yeah, I just saw that. She donated $500 100,000
Yeah, and
from her
somebody
own tour, and
met
then
her.
someone matched it.
Right. Somebody
Yeah,
matched her. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. That's
That
right.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm
I
loving her
love
more
Lizzo.
and more. I'm loving her more and more and more, like
When
within
she
the
came
past
out
few
and
weeks.
apologized
I
and
am just
changed the
loving her
lyrics.
more and
Oh,
more. She is amazing. When that in and of itself is a precedent. When have you heard that? She didn't double down.
Nope.
She didn't say she didn't know. I
She
mean, she said she didn't
apologized and
know,
took the
but she
lyric out.
apologized and she
hmm
changed her lyrics in a song that was already doing so amazing on the charts. And for that, she has my full respect and adoration forever.
yeah,
For
I
real.
absolutely love her. But I did wanted to bring this to y'all's attention because I don't know if y'all saw it. This is something I just saw on Twitter from Senator John Cornell.
Okay.
Cornell. Um, he, he essentially said in response to the Supreme Court taking down Roe v. Wade, now do Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yeah, Thomas said that too yesterday.
And I'm just like, oh, so we're being openly racist now. You're
Right.
not even hiding it. Like, I'm glad you're not hiding it anymore. I'm glad you don't feel the need to hide this anymore. That's been deep in your heart. But yeah, no, you can go. You can get off. You can
Right.
do
Yeah,
what happens naturally for people of your
yeah,
age.
I think so. And I want to add in from some. Now, I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and one thing I keep hearing now, we don't refer to our country as a third world country. We prefer to say a developing nation, right? But people do refer to our status. A lot of people say a third world country, and I've heard a lot of people on TikTok saying that the United States is regressing into a third world country. I don't want anybody to think that we are along those lines, because
Right.
I'll admit, while abortion isn't legal and there is no punishment, if you it's just an unspoken thing. Plus you can get contraceptives, plan B, and we actually have universal health care. And we have there's actually groups that you can actually get contraception and stuff for free, and you can get all your women's screenings and healthcare at a 60 or 70% discount. So you aren't regressing into any kind of Caribbean territory, okay? I'm speaking on behalf of the Caribbean and those within it. Y'all are
I
regressing back into the 1700s of the United States history,
mhm.
not the rest of us.
I
I'm just
think so. What I heard the United States referred to as is like, this is third world country, this being United States in the 1700s, but a third world country in a Gucci belt, basically, is what I've heard people referring
yeah.
to the United States. I'm just like, that's pretty accurate. We have to agree what a third world country is first, but I
Yeah,
can
first.
see
That's
this
right. Agreed.
because developing nations versus, places that are like how the United States are turning,
Right.
little bit different.
Different.
Well,
A
I
little
want
bit
to
different.
thank you so much for joining us. We have run out of time, and we will leave all the links in the description box. If they want to get a hold of you, is TikTok better or Instagram or?
TikTok is where I'm at most. So like if
Okay.
someone needs to get my attention, they can go into the comment sections. I am always looking at the fights going on. And yeah, TikTok's probably the best ways to reach me. If they need to reach me anywhere else, I do, Instagram works as well.
All right. Thank you so
This is
much.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
It was great talking to you.
Thank you for joining us, and we enjoy listening to a Satanist. And for everybody that's watching, peace. Stay happy.
Bye, guys.